What's going on, you guys? Welcome back to Father-Son DIY Garage. We got a leak here in my parents' master bathroom shower. A constant drip out of that shower head. And what that's telling me is that the shower cartridge in the shower valve has gone bad. It's about 26 years old. They bought this house when I was born pretty much, so I'm going to show you guys how to swap it out. Stay tuned. So with the water off, we're going to go ahead and grab a flathead and a Phillips tip screwdriver. And we're just going to go ahead and try to get that shower trim off. Remember, lefty loosey, righty tighty. You can see even those screws got a little bit of corrosion on them, but they're still usable. Then we're going to take our flathead and we're going to ever so gently pop off the cap to our handle. See, it usually comes out real nice. It was actually full of water before I took it off. Then we can go ahead and unscrew that Phillips screw for the shower handle. All right. Don't want to lose that little screw. Put it in a nice safe spot. Then you can kind of wiggle that shower handle off. See, it's looking pretty gnarly with all that water dripping over it all these years. All right. Then we could take our trim piece off. All right, you guys, this is the hard part now. We're going to try to take this old 26-year-old shower cartridge out, and hopefully we get it out in one piece. So the first thing we have to do is try to take off this retaining nut, which holds the shower cartridge into the valve. So we're going to try to spin this off, lefty-loosey. So the first thing I'm going to do is try to use 2 pairs of channel locks to unscrew it. So you want to make sure that you have one wrench going lefty-loosey and the other wrench to back it up. So having a backup wrench on the shower valve is super important because we got those copper pipes right here in the back that supply your shower valve. And this valve here, a customer tried taking apart themselves. And as you guys can see, those copper pipes got twisted there in the back and started to leak. So you want to put the backup wrench on the shower body. And then your other wrench on the retaining nut. And then you want to put pressure both ways. That way you're not twisting the back of the valve. So, not too bad. Now this thing can come off. And that's holding our cartridge in. All right. Now we're just going to get our channel locks and hope that this cartridge pops right out. I'd like to grab the front the first try and just give it a nice swift wiggle. See if anything happens. Kind of give it a little jiggle. Loosen it up a little bit. Just remember, be kind of gentle with it. That way you don't mess up the back of the valve. So one of the big problems here, you guys, is that the valve is not actually screwed to a piece of wood in the wall. So every time I pull it, it's just popping out the whole valve with it. So I'm trying to put some pressure with another wrench to keep that from happening, but that's taking away from my power to pull out the actual cartridge. That's not good. All right, well, that's a bummer. We only got half of it out, which happens about half the time because these are nice, cheesy plastic cartridges. And we still got half of it stuck in the valve. So now we got to pull that part out. So this is the moment where a 15-minute job turns into an hour job. Now we got to chip all the pieces of that plastic valve out. And we're going to do it with these needle nose pliers, and we're going to try to not mess up the rest of the valve. Oh, finally. So if you don't know what shower cartridge to get, the best thing you could do is take the old one with you and match it up to the new one. Another thing that's going to help you is it'll say on here, made before 2006 for a single handle. And if your home was built before that, you likely have this cartridge in there if it's a single handle. So the inside of that's looking pretty crusty. So I'm going to go ahead and take a wire brush and kind of clean this up a little bit before we pop the new cartridge in. You can already see little chunks coming out. That's going to block up our new valve, and we don't want that. All right, with that all cleaned up, we're going to go ahead and put our new one in. I put a little bit of grease right here on the tips to seal up the O-rings, help them slide in nice and easy. And you'll see on the side, this one has an H. That means it's on the hot side. And hot is always on the left. So we're going to put that in just like this. We'll see how nicely it goes together. So you want to make sure here that this arrow is seated all the way against that one. And that'll tell you you're all the way in. Bam, we're all the way in. And we can go ahead and put our retaining nut back on. So I like to put it on hand tight. And then give it just a little turn to make sure it's not going to leak. Bam, that's all you need. Not too much. You don't want to crank that thing on too hard. You want to make sure you can take it off if it ever happens again. So with the new cartridge installed, we can go ahead and take all of our tools out of the shower enclosure, and then we're going to turn the water on and test it before we put the rest of the trim on. Make sure we got no leaks. So the water's on. Now we can take a pair of channel locks and we can turn this shower on. So when you're checking for your shower valve, make sure it's not leaking. You want to check the retaining nut part right here. And you also want to check right behind this brass body because there's some copper pipes back there. Make sure nothing's dripping back there. Typically, if you wrench too hard on the valve, it'll leak right back here. That's why I back it up. And this thing's all good to go. We're going to put the trim back on. So you guys can see how beat up the back of this shower trim is. That foam sealer. Because the back of the trim plate looked pretty beat up and all the foam was worn off, I'm going to go ahead and put a bead of caulking around it. So the shower head doesn't leak anymore. All right, you guys, that was another successful repair. Now my mom and dad can shower. Let me know what kind of bill I should send them. And thank you guys for tuning in to Father Son DIY Garage. We'll see you next time.